Welcome to another episode of In the Lab. I have with me again, as always, the nefarious geneticist Shadowmeld. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing great.
All right. So what are we looking at today?
We've got a team that I'm calling You're Out of Time, and it's a very solid Dice Masters combo team that once you get your combo on the board, you proceed to just win the game automatically. It's akin to some old school Magic decks where you go for infinite mana and just burn your opponent or something like that. This one, you just get your Captain America and your Vicious Struggle out, you give your Captain America to your opponent, and you start a cascade of health destruction.
All right. And today you're actually playing against Jay Horatio, who's a frequent player on the Vassal system. He's got on his
Hello.
side. How are you doing, Horatio?
Doing good.
Good. So thanks for coming in on this. What we're going to do is he won the roll-up, so he'll go ahead and start. Patrick, if you just want to go ahead and let us know a little bit more about your team, because looking over it, I see a lot of control components.
Should I just start going?
Yes.
Yeah, so this team is designed to win the game without ever attacking. So the attack value on our dice doesn't matter. We have picked characters for very specific reasons, and we've picked we've picked action dice and globals to support and trigger our combo. Our plan is to get two character bodies on the board to have a prismatic spray and a vicious struggle, and one of those character bodies needs to be Captain America. So,
All right, and Prismatic Spray here we're looking at has a swap two of your non-NPC characters with two opposing characters until the end of turn. If the opposing characters are unblocked during your attack step, they do not go to the used pile. So you said you were combining that plus Vicious Struggle?
Correct. And speaking of vicious struggle, that is the first thing I generally buy because it gives me such an advantage. By the way, Kit, I used Red Dragon to do 1 damage to you as part of purchasing Vicious Struggle.
Oh, I did that same thing.
All right.
Oh, sorry, I knocked you down, so put it up one. Oh.
All right. And then I pass priority to you. I declare an attack. Are you going to block my sidekick?
I will take the damage.
All right. And it's your turn. So what I'll be doing is I'll get Constantine or Wasp or Captain America the next time around, and what I'll be trying to get one of those bodies on the board as soon as I can to give me a good block. My goal is to just stay slightly above my opponent, even or above, to trigger the health cascade. And when I do that, the game will be over, and whoever had the highest health. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to PXG. Yeah, I forgot to PXG. And my turn, you said? Wow, that's good.
So you've also got the Beholder on this team. Are you actually planning on fielding him, or are you using him mostly for his global?
Oh, I'm using him exclusively for his global.
Okay.
And well, he's there just to save the action dice on the action face for the time when I want to do it. So I'm going to go and pick up Wasp because my opponent is already using a significant amount of globals, and he's got Vicious Struggle up and running. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use Wasp to kind of chip away at him, hopefully at a time when he doesn't have Vicious Struggle up.
Right, and that is the rare Wasp while active. When your opponent uses a global, she deals 1 damage to them. So do you plan on just using that ability, or when would you be using her global ability?
Her global I'll use to trigger the health cascade. Doing 1 damage generally starts the cascade. So
Okay.
I can either, if I can generally pay for 1 global and have her do 1 damage to me to start the cascade, or I can use her global to hit my opponent and then again also start the cascade. So I get priority. I will PXG for what I like to call perfect, which is me end up rolling all of my dice. Any attacks, sir?
Nope.
All right. And I see you bought my other Vicious Struggle, so that's a shame. Now he has 2 of them. And he got Marvel, which is a life gain tool, which is problematic for me as well. Let's see. It's an expensive wasp.
Your next purchase is probably going to be Captain America to try and get that cycle going.
Yeah, that's really what I want to get going. And I got a fist, and I got a bunch of things. The problem is I have an expensive wasp this turn, so I think I'm going to save this energy and re-roll Vicious Struggle and try to get some energy just to get it going and plan for it to come back around. That didn't happen, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to spend a fist and a shield to field Wasp, field the Sidekick, and now let's look at how much energy I have and if I'm going to be able to get what I want. I am not going to be able to get what I want. Instead, I'm going to I'm going to keep this fist. I'm going to go ahead and play Vicious Struggle and put it out there. And I'm going to use this question mark and this fist to go ahead and buy me a Constantine.
So that turn, you wouldn't want to prep with the Beholder at that point? So that you can save it for the next.
Putting Vicious Struggle up prevents me from getting blown out. And prevents me from taking enough damage to get below, right? So with Vicious Struggle out there, I maintain my health advantage, and with PXG and a guaranteed 3 PXG ramps, that Vicious Struggle is going to come back around next turn anyway, and I'll just be able to re-roll it.
Okay.
And so I can just keep that in circulation until I get what I need. And hey, I may just win by having Vicious Struggle out for the whole game.
It goes to your use power.
That's always another option. It does. Yeah, I put it out there just to remind you. It's in the use pile. All right, your turn.
So it runs through, looking at the card again, this is an action that runs through your next turn, until your next turn, which is kind of a rarity, I think, when it comes to basic actions. But again, the way it's functioning is essentially a protection against any kind of damage he's going to deal to you during this attack step, correct?
Correct, yeah. And so what I'll be doing is I'll in this instance I'll be trying to PXG for and hopefully be able to get to Captain America this next turn, or at the very least pick up Spray.
All right. It does look like you went ahead and got that Marvel Girl. The Marvel Girl being the one Captain Marvel deals combat damage, gain 2 life. So I know you said this earlier. So life gain, that's really the challenge you've faced. I mean, what are some of the main decks or themes?
Life gain's going to be a problem for this team. However, distraction is a specifically decent counter for this particular Captain Marvel because distraction prevents her from dealing combat damage. So all I have to do is prevent her from doing that combat damage. So
what other team, that really teams that you really go up against that would cause any kind of issues with this team, like just
things that can blow you out before you even buy all your pieces of the combo. Because Vicious Struggle, while it'll keep your health close, it won't do retaliation damage before you die. Right, so if you take lethal damage, Vicious Struggle won't trigger its effect to kill your opponent. What's that?
Serena just destroys this team.
Yeah, Serena is difficult on this team, I agree. Alright, so my turn, right? Constantine, I want the question marks. And, as much as I want a Vicious Struggle this turn, well...
That's an interesting choice with the Constantine there. I mean, you're using that, I'm guessing, as a defensive mechanism to re-roll other action dice? Or is that for your own in case you don't get to roll it right?
It's to re-roll Lantern Battery. Like, Lantern Battery is the most powerful thing in the game right now, and it is a problem. So I'm trying to avoid having Lantern Battery come back and bite me.
Gotcha. And he does synergize well with your team since you are rolling with multiple shield characters and shield globals. So I'm guessing that.
All right, Yeah, yeah, exactly. And 5 is Captain America. He's also a cheap 2 cost that fit the hole I needed. And I'm going to put him in the field, and I'm going to pass priority and then declare attack with 2 sidekicks. Sounds good. Your turn, sir.
So we did go ahead and roll that Captain Marvel. You do have 2 energy this turn, potentially as distractions. Now, is it more beneficial at this point, with how much you have left in your used pile this turn, to PXG 2 times, or do you think that you'd probably want to again negate that life gain?
If I PXG 2 times, I'm guaranteed to draw all my dice. However, negating the life gain makes my job easier in the long run, so I'm okay. I don't have all the pieces of my combo yet, so I'm okay not having a perfect turn. So if he decides to attack, I am going to pay to distract, and then PXG only once. And that gives me 6 dice to draw from, but I'll be okay in the long run because, again, I don't even have my combo piece yet.
Right. And just to verify, like Vicious Struggle, the way it plays out, that damage that he would deal to you if he dealt you 4 damage, does that 4 damage then bounce back to the opponent as well, or is it
correct? Yeah, it returns damage 1 for 1.
Okay.
So let's see. I have a Captain America, and I want to keep all of these. I want to keep this bolt. I'm actually going to keep this. No, I need to reroll these sidekicks, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and reroll. All right, I field this guy. I will spend a bolt to field Captain America, and then I spend a bolt to Red Dragon User, and then buy my Prismatic Spray for 3. So a total of 4 energy spent. And I have spray, and I have some PXGs, and I'm 2 ahead right now, which is pretty much where I need to be. I can let 1 Captain Marvel trigger, and I'm not in a problem. So I pass priority to you, Horatio. And you pass back, and I'm not going to attack, so it's your turn, sir.
That doesn't help.
Now looking at that again, he's got life gain on his side. His team seems to be a very heavy defense team that utilizes, I'm guessing, utilizing the Ant-Man Global on that to get an aggressive swing through. The actions he brought to this game are going to be teamwork, which is giving the additional pluses for the affiliation. Avengers being very prominent on his team. And then he's also got Enrage, giving the pumps. Now on your team, really, you're not looking at any kind of modifiers. You don't need any modifiers, correct, Patrick, for your team, because you're not ever really going to attack.
So, yeah, it's all about doing 1 incidental damage. I'm sorry, Horatio, did you actually play Vicious Struggle, or did you choose not to?
I played Vicious Struggle.
Okay, so before you attack, I will Wasp Global you for 1. Which will cause you to take 1 damage, and then me to take 1 damage, and then you, and then the cascade starts and game is over.
So just to clarify that, the way that this works, you're going to go ahead and deal the 1 damage via the Wasp Global. Because Vicious Struggle was active at that point, that damage is then being bounced right back to Patrick, which Captain America, who has the while active, each time you take non-combat damage, deals 1 damage to an opponent. So the ratio would jump down to 16, which then shoots it back to you to 1, off to 18, and as you said, the cascade just ends that way. Is there
Hold on, wait. Explain this to me once again here. What damage did you take?
I'm sorry. You played Vicious Struggle, correct?
Yeah.
So I do 1 damage to you, and Vicious Struggle turns around and does 1 damage to me.
Okay.
And then Captain America, in response, deals an additional damage because damage was dealt to Patrick back to you again. So that causes the cycle to continue.
So it's Wasp to you, Struggle to me, Cap to you, Struggle, Cap, Struggle, Cap, Struggle, Cap, Struggle, Cap, Struggle, Cap, Struggle, Cap.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Because the cap damage isn't coming from Vicious Struggle.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's why this team needs Captain America and Vicious Struggle to work. It can be done by giving your opponent a Captain America. Say you messed up and didn't get your Vicious Struggle before your opponent just...
Okay. Pretend I didn't do that.
All right. We'll say you didn't...
Make it a little more fun. So pretend I didn't play Vicious Struggle. That was a nice little sidebar, learning experience. So I didn't do that. I just let it expire useless, and I attacked with Captain Marvel.
Sure, absolutely. What I will do is I will block with a sidekick.
Okay.
And PXG twice. And my turn?
Yeah.
All right, so I have a chance of drawing... Oh, I got all the pieces of the combo are available to roll this turn. So we'll see how it goes.
Now, there's no... I know you have a lot of pieces on this team that seem to be the way they need to be.
Yes.
Action dice say you don't roll it, so... Okay.
So actually, one of the problems with getting the combo to go off right now is that my opponent doesn't have 2 characters, and so that's an issue for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get all the pieces of the combo and wait until he gets a 2nd character on the board.
Yeah, utilizing the Beholder Global.
Correct, yeah. And so now I have both of these action faces, and I'm just going to go ahead and prep them, well, sort of prep them, with the these 2 bolts, because I don't actually need the bolts for anything. And now I have all of these, and what I can do is I can spend these 2 shields just to Wasp Global my opponent. So, Horatio, you take 1 damage, and that's going to allow me to stay in the lead. And now I have everything I need to PXG. I'm going to get the combo no matter what. And if my opponent plays 2 characters, game is over on my turn. So.
And you also have the ability to distract and keep them on the field in case.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Now, a question for you, because you're doing the Beholder, would you not want to place the Baron on this team instead? I know that's another option, and what I'm referring to is the rare, I believe it's rare.
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt.
Baron Zemo Thunderbolt. Yeah. Baron Zemo Thunderbolt doesn't guarantee me an action face. He lets me use the action dice every turn, but Prismatic Spray I'm not using. I only want to use it in one specific instance when it happens. I'm sorry, you're not re-rolling?
So I don't understand. What's the significance of the 2 characters?
If you look at Prismatic Spray, the only way that it functions is if you have 2 characters, or there's 2 opposing characters.
Oh, that's right. It's a Prismatic Spray part. Yep, maybe. I got it.
So I'm trying. Actually, never mind. I was going to use Constantine to re-roll and maybe turn his die to a Vicious Struggle, and that would actually prevent him from fielding Marvel Girl. But I realized, no, all I want is for him to field Marvel Girl, or Captain Marvel. So I'm going to choose not to let him re-roll. But it's always nice to remember that Constantine's there. If your opponent does buy Vicious Struggle and you you re-roll the vicious struggle to a vicious struggle face to try to bait your opponent to actually playing it while your cap is on the field.
So at this point, now that he has done his reroll, would you then call and he did not get the Captain Marvel face on that second reroll?
So yes, what I would do now is when he re-rolled Captain Marvel, I would force him to re-roll his action die.
Are you doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because anything to deny you energy, as an option, works best for me. So, and it came up energy. Doesn't hurt to use your abilities though.
No.
And I see a rare wasp coming my way, which will be an interesting example of Captain America versus Rare Wasp if she gets out on the field. And are you passing priority to me?
Yes. Actually, no. Well, I'm going to attack.
Well, so yes. And I will use this to distract. All right.
So then, now that you're in the situation where you're waiting, it's basically a waiting game. Is there any way to accelerate it, or do you essentially just have to?
Well, I can attack with Constantine every turn. The problem is while Constantine could kill Marvel Girl or go unblocked, he isn't enough of a he's going to gain 2 life by blocking Constantine.
Right.
So right now I don't want to attack. What I'm going to do is just Wasp Global him for 1 every turn that I can, and maintain everything else. So, and these guys go in the do not roll section, and I roll away. And who knows, perhaps one day I will get a really bad roll and not roll the masks I need, but we will see.
Never really seems to happen on a Vassal. Honestly, I think it's like biased to those question marks.
It does like those question marks, I will admit.
It's really unbelievable. Like I'd like to see the results over large numbers.
So I'm going to spend 2 fists and again prep these, and then I'm going to Wasp Global you for 1.
So again, if he gets the Wasp on this turn, or Sidekick, you will activate the other abilities of Prismatic Spread on the next turn. But by using a global at this point, would that also start the cascade if he does get a Wasp out?
It would not, because he.
Or do you want to use PXG?
Oh, because Vicious Struggle is not active.
Right, because Vicious Struggle is not active. Yeah, so I PXG once, and I PXG again for 1, and then I pass back to you. And then I distract you back. And
Aha.
yep, that might be an issue.
Now, because you have Distraction, would you ever consider buying Distraction against your opponent? Since you're in a situation where, like right now, where if he blocks, he gains life. What would I mean? I know you're playing a game of waiting, but to kind of accelerate.
I could indeed buy Distraction, but you'll see from my play here, I'm going to spend the 2 bolts to prep the two action dice again, and then I'm going to pass to my opponent. He doesn't have anything, so I'm going to go ahead and actually just declare 4 attackers. And
So-
the damage that the damage that I'll be putting up on the board is more than he's going to heal, so the net loss to him is worth it for me. So even rolling sidekicks isn't a big deal. And so I don't mind his character dying for me to get some sidekicks through. And I'm going to go ahead and pass to him.
So just as a thought here, something that I know some of our viewers probably are wondering. You work on these teams on a weekly basis. You get these ideas going, things like that. But what really inspires and like kind of pushes you to pick certain cards or certain themes when you're designing these combo heavy decks?
A lot of times I will just find a card that I haven't built a team around before, and I'll just start. I'll be like, okay, how can this card become good? And in this instance, I saw Vicious Struggle, and I'd been playing this Captain America for a while, and I saw Vicious Struggle, and I'm like, wait, Isaac and I have talked about what happens if two Captain Americas are on the board at the same time, and this basic action is the same thing as Captain America.
Are you going to
oh, I'm sorry. Are you passing me? Yeah.
Yep.
So I will Wasp Global U for 1 Infect. And it's your turn. And I will distract that guy back. My turn?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like any of that. I like all of that. So I'm going to spend a...
You can actually do Wasp Global twice because it's on the board twice.
I could do it 4 times if I had enough energy. That's a good point. Like twice on my turn and then twice on your turn. I'm going to...
You can only do it once per turn.
Right.
So I'm saying you can do it once for each Wasp.
Correct. I could do mine and yours on your turn, and then mine and yours on my turn. And then I'm not going to field Constantine, and I'm just going to sit on these 2 question marks. And pass to you.
So what's the thought process on that?
By not fielding the Constantine, 1, I can get him back as energy. 2, he would have cost me energy, and that energy I'm going to need in order to distract and or Professor X. And at this point, I'm inching ahead by margins, and we will see how things go.
So he's rolled a secondary character there. Looks like he's going to go ahead and keep it, as well as he's rolled distraction and enrage. So you do have...
I'm going to play Enrage on Captain America.
Okay, that sounds great.
And I'm going to play Distraction on you.
Okay, let's see. Level up. And I choose Wasp and Captain America.
No doubt.
And you declare attacks. I distract both of your characters. And it's my turn?
I think it is your turn.
Alright, so I draw 2 dice, and these guys come out, and I roll these 2 dice. I get 2 energy, which is all I really need. I'm looking to see if there's anything else I need to... He has a shield. Does he have a shield global that... No. There are no shield globals that will stop the combo. So, they do exist. Treant or Vibranium Shield or Iron Man can stop this combo. So, you want to watch out when their opponent has a shield. So, I'm going to go ahead and play Prismatic Spray. And I'm going to give you these 2 guys. And I'm going to take these 2 guys. And then I'm going to play Vicious Struggle. And I will spend 2 to do 1 damage to you with Wasp Global and begin the health cascade.
So go ahead and walk through this again. So the way it's working.
So I do 1 damage with the Wasp Global. Captain America triggers his ability, which deals 1 damage back to me. Vicious Struggle triggers its ability, which does 1 damage back to my opponent. So the Wasp Global dropped him to 14. The Captain America Retaliation dropped me to 18. And then 13, 17, etc., etc., etc. And what will happen is he will hit 0 long before I do. And by hitting 0, the game ends and no more triggers resolve. So it can't kill both of us because one of us reaches 0 first.
So again, you're activating the Wasp Global and then also taking
You're
damage.
hitting me, right? You're not hitting you're hitting me, and then that's activating Captain America, which is hitting you.
Right.
So I'll go hit me again.
So I'm active player. The fact that Wasp is going to do 1 damage to me does not resolve until I no longer have effects to resolve. So I'm going to do 1 damage to him, which will trigger Wasp and Captain America. And he can choose which of those 2 to do the 1 damage to me from. But what will happen is by doing the 1 damage to me, it'll trigger another one for me. So technically, the initial trigger will actually cause 2 damage to me, 1 from Cap and 1 from Wasp.
Right.
So I will
2
actually...
goes back, and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Right. 2 goes back, and then 1, 1, 1, 1.
So that is something you do need to be careful of. If you are playing this team, and as Patrick stated earlier, you need to have that margin, a window, and specifically if you end up giving Wasp and Captain America, you need that margin of 2 versus a margin of 1 otherwise, with just Vicious Struggle. And
Actually, technically, if you're ahead, if you're dead even, and you do 1 damage to your opponent, because of the way Vicious Struggle reads compared to the way Captain America reads, if they have Cap and you have Vicious Struggle, you'll win that trade even if it's clumps of 2 like that. Because what will happen is you'll do 1 to your opponent, they'll bounce 2 back to you, you'll bounce 2 back to them with Vicious Struggle, and Captain America will only return 1. So
let's try this out with some characters that actually cause Steam problems rather than these characters. Let me get rid of this Wasp. I don't think this is doing me any good. And bring in